Hi there, and welcome to Screech Bob-Omb commentaries. My name is David Baron von Fabulous Lark. My co-host is,
Callum, the good Doctor Young.
and today we're doing something a bit different. We are doing, rather than the Keyforge Premier League, which we've been doing for quite a while now, we're going to be doing some of the Keyforge Online Team event, and doing the qualifiers for the Top Cup. This is actually the event in which Screech Bob-Omb was first formed for, back in KOTE, was it 4 or 5, Callum?
5, I think it was.
KOTE 5. But do you want to tell us what teams are playing today? Because it's not us, because we didn't make it this far.
Yeah, so today we're looking at Hamburg Atlanteans 3 out of Hamburg, Germany. Hamburg Atlanteans have a lot of players in these big events, and 3 teams in this particular one. And the other team is Team Exalted B out of Southampton in the UK, including some of our glorious KOTE organisers.
Yeah, we want to say a lot of thank you to them for letting us kind of record and do commentary for this event. It's much appreciated.
Thanks. And Hamburg Atlanteans as well. So, first step we're going to look at is Prodigy Uchida. It's being played by Finchmaster from Hamburg Atlanteans. So, this deck is somewhat notorious in that I've discussed it with people before, and it is of a very specific archetype based around the autoencoder. So what you want to do is you want to get the autoencoder down, discard most, if not all, of your creatures, and just clear the board every turn. And this deck is very well set up to do that.
Yeah, so if you look at the number of Ember Pips, you have 17 Ember Pips in the deck. So just by playing through your entire deck, you can almost get enough Ember to Forge without ever needing to reap at all with this deck.
And you're looking at 22 creature control, which you have in terms of triple gateway, and I think most important of all, triple Fangtooth. So even passively, you will just keep creatures off the board.
Exactly. So the thing that with the Fangtooth is that not only are they good at kind of getting rid of your opponent's creatures, but you also have some creatures in here that you don't mind being destroyed at all. You've got stuff like Infernuses, which is Infernus Inspectors, rather, which is your opponent purges a random card from their hand. So very happy for those to be hit with the Fangtooth Cavern. And also a Key Frog, just forge a key at current cost when it's destroyed. Again, if you can set up that up, very happy for that to be destroyed at the end of the turn, stopping your opponent.
An enhanced Relentless Creeper.
That's also very true. So that's the one that you can, if you've not seen Relentless Creeper before, if you choose this your active house, you can return it from your discard pile to your hand. We don't know what the enhancement is on it, unfortunately, but with 4 Ember Pips enhancements, we can suggest that it's probably an Ember Pip.
Strong.
Just go over the rares a bit as well here. We've got Red Heart Armor, which I don't believe in the opponent's deck there is any armor at all, but this is an Ember Pip. This is just the card you're happy to play for that Ember Pip. Similarly, Earthbind. This creature cannot be used unless its controller has discarded a card this turn. The likelihood, again, of this coming up and being helpful is slim, I'd say, because you're not going to have creatures surviving very long.
But hey, if it's still early in the game and you've only got 1 Fangtooth or 2 Fangtooths...
Fangtooths,
sure. Fangtooths. You can just take out a creature pretty easily with Earthbind. It's quite a handy little upgrade.
Very true. And finally, we've got Dark Queen Gloriana, which may be more helpful. Return a friendly non-owned creature to your hand. If you've got an Infernus out and it's managed to survive through the many Fangtooth Caverns, then maybe you can return that Infernus to your hand, set up next turn for even more purging.
And I have done that move to some people. Even over TCO, you can see the light go out of their eyes just a little bit.
The sadness.
Pick up that Infernus again. And it comes with 2 enhanced Amber Pips somewhere in the deck.
Very handy. But yeah.
Good card.
So I think we'll move on to Moon, the Guildmaster of Talon, Cliff, and see how we think this deck is going to go up against it.
So this is being played by All for One, and yeah, the question with a deck like Prodigy Uchida is what can its opponent do to sort of overcome this very specific niche game plan? We have a few things that we think Moon can do here. The first is the double Reclaimed by Nature.
Yep. So Reclaim by Nature, purge an artifact, resolve its bonus icons as if you played it. Now, the purge is key here because it means you can't then replay the Fangtooth Cavern later. It is gone from the game completely.
Yeah. So autoencoder could come out early and then just get purged very quickly. And that takes a lot of the speed out of Prodigy.
Exactly. Yeah. You also have, say, the Punctuated Equilibrium, which if you can get rid of that autoencoder, it can be really good. You can maybe discard a couple of those Fangtooths, discard some Gateway-to Disses, even discard, say, an Infernus or an Inspector, which are really good ones to get rid of with the Punctuated Equilibrium, and just gets you better cards, maybe gets you towards those Reclaimed by Natures faster if you haven't already got them.
But you got to be very careful because if the autoencoder is out, then you do not want to play that punk, as it will archive 6 cards off the top of your opponent's deck, and they'll be very happy with you.
They will. So yeah, I think we're saying here that the Untamed is going to be key to this matchup for Moon.
I think so.
It's
but a couple of other things in the other.
So if we look at the shadows here, another very good card in this matchup we think is the Sting. The Sting, which is skip your fortune key step. You get all Ember spent by your opponent when fortune keys, and it's an action to destroy the Sting. So you also have a Pismire, which means you can increase their key cost, potentially get 6 or 8 Ember with this card.
Yeah, and importantly, it's Ember that you've generated quickly without any board presence at all.
Exactly.
And we've got no hard artifact control in Uchida, so that's going to stick on the board.
We also have, for example, a Reclaim by Nature. You could occasionally use that on your own Sting if you want to get rid of it out of house. If you've not got a Great Shadows turn lined up, maybe you've already hit their auto encoder, and you might consider doing that.
There's potentially an Effervescent Principle in Uchida as a response, but again, it's about timing. It's about making that line up properly.
Yep. Final thing to look at is we have the Shadow Council, which is the Shadow's rare, an Elf Leader and a Thief. It's elusive, and while the Shadow Council is in the center of your battle line, it gains action Steal 2. I can't see this being massively useful in this matchup. I think having to both get it to the middle and get it to survive through all of the potential Fangtooths, it's going to be very difficult to get this to go off.
I think so, yeah. So basically, I guess the final question is, can Moon rush past Uchida before it gets the sort of full Fangtooth lock-in, basically? Because it is the sort of deck that will rush without a board. It has 22 expected Ember, it has the 15 creature control.
Yeah.
So were I looking at another matchup, I would say that Moon would be trying to play that same strategy. So does it do that well enough to get past Uchida, basically? What do we think?
Question. I mean, you look at the speed in Moon, and it's not amazing. It's not the blistering pace you see with some Logos decks, but it's got things like it's got a Causal Loop, it's got an Eclectic Inquiry, it's got a Quick to the Adventure if you can get it enough around, and it's got a QMEX, which if the QMEX is going to be getting destroyed a lot because of the Fangtooth Caverns, you're going to be drawing a lot of cards off those QMEX. The QMEX is also enhanced. We're not sure what it's enhanced with. We can surmise it's probably a capture icon, which may not be too helpful, but if that's an Ember icon, that QMEX is going to be excellent.
Indeed. So
I think one last thing to look at as well is the Entropic Swirl. This is another rare you might not have seen. It's choose a creature. Each trait that creature has, deal 2 damage to it and gain 1 Ember. May not be as great because, again, as we keep saying, you're going to be seeing a lot of creatures destroyed, very little sticking on the board. But if you can hit something with 2 traits on it, it can be really good. Maybe even, and this is an unlikely thing, but I think a possibility, if you hit your own Shadow Council has 3 traits, you can get 3 Ember from it. Just a potential thing you might want to do just to kind of get that quick burst of Ember if you can otherwise.
Especially as looking at Prodigy, a lot of the creatures only have 1 trait. We're looking at a lot of beasts, a lot of mutants, a lot of demons and imps, rather than multi-traded creatures.
Indeed. So how do you think this game's going to go, Callum? Who do you think is going to be the eventual victor?
I think, were I a betting man, I would put my money on Prodigy Uchida, just because I think they're pursuing a similar game plan, and I think it probably can do it better. I could see a scenario where Moon purchases the right artifacts at the right time, but I think it has multiple Fangtooths still. I think even without the autoencoder, it will still do similar things and keep wiping the board, and it just has more pips, and I think we'll go through it quicker.
I would agree, but I think it's going to be a closer game than maybe you'd expect. I think Moon with like 2 Reclaim by Natures and quite a few ways to get through the deck, I think there's a good chance you'll get that Reclaim by Nature out when you need to and get, say, the autoencoder or get a Fangtooth Cavern. So I think it's going to be an interesting game, but I think Moon has a decent chance, but I would edge, say Prodigy's got the edge. I think, if you're playing this game 10 times, I'd say Prodigy's going to win 7 or 8, but Moon is still going to get those 2 or 3.
All right, well, let's find out. I'm hyped.
Yep, now we'll see you at the game. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, hello, and welcome to the game portion of the episode. We're just waiting for the game to get started now. Had a couple of times where we joined the game as the opponent, had to swiftly make an exit, but we are now in as spectators as planned.
We were just very excited. Just waiting.
It's interesting to see how this game goes, to be honest. It's going to be a good one, I think.
That's good. And I think it will just look radically unlike many of the other Keyforge games that we've recorded and commented on, which is a testament to the game and how cool it is.
Yeah, I think we've done a lot of kind of very board-focused games in the past, which makes me very happy, and is my vibe. But
Whereas it's going to be actions for days.
Actions for days, which is very much more your style, Callum, I think.
A little bit, yes.
So we have Finchmaster with Proddy the Uchider on the top of the screen, just showing the deck list there once again. And we have All for One with Moon, the Guildmaster of Taloncliffe, on the bottom of the screen. A nice bit of sportsmanship with the traditional GLHF. Good luck, have fun from both. Slight connection problem there for Finchmaster. Hopefully that isn't a factor too much in the game.
All right.
Okay.
We have an opening sting from All for One on the bottom, which could be pretty big.
Yeah.
And then a decent 4-card Untamed.
Perplexing Sophistry is a nice one to get early on as well. Oh, you see a mulligan from Finchmaster into that autoencoder and the Fangtooth.
Oh, that's the draw they're really going to be looking for.
It really is, yeah. So I think we're likely to see the autoencoder turn 1 just to get it out there.
And then it begins.
It does indeed. So, and All for One has elected to keep that hand as well, which I think is sensible. I would have kept that. I would have been very happy with it.
Yeah, because you can either go for the Shadow's turn and almost certainly get the Perplexing Sophistry to hit, or you can play 4 Untamed cards, which is usually pretty handy.
That is indeed usually quite the handy thing. Yeah, I see Finchmaster thinking about his opening turn here. I imagine trying to decide between whether to hit the autoencoder or the Fangtooth, but I think you surely go for the autoencoder. Just because you're going to be hopefully playing on. Well, I suppose maybe you're not Untamed next turn, because with the Key Frog, are you really going to want it out that early?
I mean, you gotta assume that he's going to cycle. It's just gonna
plays the Gateway to Dis.
That's a choice, given they just give themselves 3 chains.
Yeah, I would have thought you'd discard it. Yeah. A misclick.
There's a misclick.
That is unfortunate. We go. And we do see the Sting and Perplexing Sophistry come out too early. Finchmaster did want to discard that. That is unfortunate.
We'll see what happens now.
He's forced to discard that Infernus as well, which that's quite a big section of his Ember control. That's not going to be a thing that he's going to be too chuffed about, I wouldn't think. And All for One, very nice sportsmanship here, asking if he wants to remove the remaining chains. That's very kind of him. And we are going to see that.
Yeah. I think that's the fair solution here.
I think a lot of people's kind of attitude with this kind of thing is if it's not a misclick you could make in real life, then it's fair to kind of read it. Like you never accidentally play a Gateway to Dis in real life. You would just discard it. So
because I mean, you would like physically have to say that you were playing it, not just discarding it. You
exactly. And it's also just something you would never really do either. So yeah, unfortunately, Finchmaster was affected by one of those chains, but the remaining 2 he's now removed. So very nice to see from both players.
I assume we're going to see an Untamed turn.
I don't. We do see an Untamed turn. I was thinking you could possibly have seen the Logos turn. It's again, I don't know if you want the Key Frog out this early because you are just going to lose your Key Frog immediately, which is a useful thing to have down the line.
True. Look at that. That is a double enhanced Neurosiphon.
That is indeed. And we are going to see the Gloriana's Attendant here is a lot in the woods. I was going to say, I don't know if I would have played the Gloriana's Attendant just because it means that Finchmaster is like going to get a card on the board, but with the Lost in the Woods, it's very good. It means you don't see that. If Finchmaster wants to play that daughter, it's going to be destroyed.
Yeah, it's going to be that sort of game. I don't think they'll be keeping creatures on the board unless they're of very high immediate use.
Very true.
And here comes the autoencoder.
We are going to see Finchmaster go to check here, but we do see the Reclaim by Nature in hand for All for One, as well as a Punctuation Equilibrium. I can't imagine he's too thrilled with the rest of his hand. I think we're likely going to see that taking out the autoencoder here, if it was me.
I think, you hit that button real quickly. I was going for Shadows. Interesting.
That is interesting. I suppose wanted to keep him off the check, wanted to keep him off the key, but
hoping for a better Untamed turn, and there it is.
That is a better Untamed turn. That's a
that is a much better Untamed turn. Yep.
So I think we're definitely going to see both a Fangtooth and an autoencoder going away. And also maybe looking to get the Piersmeyer here, which is a distinct possibility.
Yeah, you're trying to find that to make them pay a little bit extra.
Yeah, and also with the Sting out, get a little bit extra for yourself. I think this is very, very good play here.
And here we go. Because it's going to be
rapid evolution on the Bonithing, wants to kill the Shadow Council.
Doesn't matter though.
Because both Fangtooth have yep, just wants to get the Ember presumably. A Logos turn here.
It's interesting. Was he?
I
guess he's just waiting to. Oh, perhaps waiting to reclaim the Sting.
I don't think I do that. I think especially with the having both Untamed Curse and the Punctual Equilibrium, if it was a really good Logos turn you were taking, maybe, but I don't think I would have made that play.
Interesting. It's already turning into a weird match because you see that Finchmaster has generated 7 Ember without having a creature live on the board.
No, yeah, he's not. He's just
been playing so many pips.
Yeah, just playing pips. And we do see All for One now with 9 Ember. After that, Sting has gone off, but
so I could see them reclaim the Sting, reclaim the Auto Encoder, hit the Punk.
Yeah, I suppose maybe he's just not fussed about hitting the Fangtooth Caverns. Maybe.
Yeah.
And he's just quite happy to let all the creatures die. And yeah, and I suppose wanting to get that Ember off the Sting. I can see the play here. Yeah, I think that'll be the reason, and I think it's just something maybe I personally would have done. But I think this is my bias coming into it, where I'm a big fan of having creatures on the board. I like having creatures on the board, and if Fangtooth Cavern is stopping me doing that, then I really want to.
But I just think you know that you're not going to manage that, especially because you're tripled gateway to Dis as well, right? So they're not going to live for long in any circumstances, as well as a bunch of other creature control.
Yeah.
So you just have to lean into the type of game that's being played and hope you're able to pull it off better. I think you might be able to if you hit the Auto Encoder and then got a decent amount off the Sting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave it much longer though. I've got to think that it's coming now.
I know. I've got to think this next turn. And I'm just looking at if we look at what's in Finchmaster's hand here, he's going to be losing an Essence Scale, a Xenofiend, and a Waking Nightmare. All 2 of those very good Ember control kind of things, and the Essence Scale is very useful. Getting another Fangtooth Cavern he's going to hit with this Punctual Equilibrium as well.
Yeah. So
this is going to be pretty nice. Yeah, we
are
seeing the Auto Encoder. And
there goes the Sting.
Yeah, 13 Ember for All for One as well. So he is sitting on quite a lot here.
Cooking with gas, and it's going to
hit the Punctual Equilibrium. Not a great hand for Finchmaster.
Right into the effervescent. Oh, that's gonna hurt.
It is, but you still got 13 Ember. You're still gonna forge. It's obviously not what you want to see, but I mean, I think still sticking Finchmaster with a 2/2/2 hand.
Yeah,
you could do much worse with that Punctual Equilibrium, especially with the things you got rid of.
Does have a Munchling in the archives as well.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, one of the joys of live commentary is we can snoop about people's archives.
Let's have a look at what's in the archive here. So a Gateway, an Inspector, and a Munchling. So I don't think we'll see the archive picked up here. I feel like you don't really want to have both Gateways in hand at the same time. But then, are you that fussed about the Gateways at this point? I mean, with both Fangtooths out now, you're never really going to need a full board clear, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, or it's sort of already locked in to an extent.
We are going to see the Effervescent Principle, and going to steal an Ember from All for One, taking him to 6, but still getting the Forge. And are we going to see a standardized testing here? I think we might, just so you can clear All for One's whole board. Maybe wanting to keep the odd Claude alive, but no, not.
Sticking with the plan.
Indeed.
Boom, boom. 2 more creatures go down.
And we are going to see All for One Forge.
That's just hating the principle there off the punk is just so bad for All for One. I think you really needed that to be good for 2 keys.
Just playing lights out for the Ember and discarding a Gateway to Dis, but with one in the archive, that's not what you really want it to be hitting from that hand. Then in that hand, I think there's not that many great options.
Yeah, your hand's a bit of a mess right now.
But we are starting to see a bit more cohesiveness coming from All for One. You've got the standardized testing, the Bouncing Deathquack, and the Postron Bolt, just for playing some cards in a Logos turn. Maybe he wants to
Yeah,
save that Pismire and Techno Beast just to make Finchmaster pay more for a key.
yeah. I mean, the problem is though, when your opponent is also trashing all of their creatures, it's just not that great a turn. All of those cards are very good in many other circumstances.
Indeed. And we are going to see the Untamed, Rapid Evolution on the Subtle Otto, and discarding the Dark Queen Gloriana, so just wanting to get an Ember, kill the Subtle Otto. And oof, that is a nasty dishand we are now seeing from Finchmaster.
Yeah, because you know the Inspector and the Xenofiend will probably eat it at the end of the turn, purging a card and stealing one.
Indeed, they will. And I assume we're going to see a discard of the Gateway Dis at this point. Maybe even go to the archive, pick up the second Inspector.
Oh god, yeah, purge 2 at once.
And just hit some things in the discard. I mean, there's lots of juicy things, like you want to maybe get rid of those Reclaimed by Natures.
Yeah,
the Punctual Equilibrium.
I'm pretty sure both reclaims will go.
Maybe the Bone thing. I don't know if you're... I'd maybe prefer getting the Punctual Equilibrium, I think, would be my personal go-to. But I think it's... I think you're just not that fussed about losing your artifacts at this point. I think they've done their work, really.
I think you want them to keep doing their work.
You do, but it's the question of, with the discard out, is how fast are you actually going to draw back to those Reclaimed by Natures, and would you rather hit, say, a Punctual Equilibrium that could mess you up a lot more?
It's going to hit.
Let's see who was correct.
Drum roll, please. Obviously, all of our honor is riding upon this prediction.
It is.
Watch us both be wrong.
Yeah, it's probably going to hit the Bouncing Deathwark and, I don't know, like, Bone-Ithing. Bone-Ithing is actually...
the Bone-Ithing might be a shout.
Yeah.
As the game goes on layer. I don't think he'll hit the Bouncing Deathwark somehow.
Probably not.
Think he get over, though.
Yeah,
as they should.
Out. Very sensible. And did discard both Gateway to Dis. I thought there might have been a potential just to even use Reclaimed by Nature and Bone-Ithing. So we were both kind of right.
Yes. Order is restored. And then there's just going to be 2 cards out of the hand at the end of the turn.
Yep.
That's just rough.
Pismire, I think, would be the big hit here. And it is Pismire as well. That's rough.
And a cause.
Neurocycling to steal one, knock him off check. That's good. And get that Mutagenic Serum out. But this is, I think this is dire times for All for One here. You know, you've lost your Bone-Ithing, which could have been a really good bit of Ember control later on in the game.
Yeah, and I think
you lost your Pismire, good bit of Ember control.
Prodigy's starting to get the lock-in, basically, even without the autoencoder.
Yeah.
With the double Fangtooth, it can do what it does.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a pretty good Logos turn coming up.
Yeah. Yes, we are. I hadn't even quite registered how good that Logos turn.
Because you can play 3 pips worth of things, Mutagenic Serum for a Reap.
Yeah.
And then the Fangtooth will kill off the Fiend, and you'll steal another one.
Yeah, I think you probably don't play the Munchling here. It's just going to die, and you'd rather maybe just get the Infernus back in the discard, I suppose. Although, then again, you want to keep the Infernus alive just so you can Reap with it in case you want to play a Dis turn. I could see logic in both. And gets Daughter. And yeah, I think you have to play Munchling now because you can keep it alive because you've got the Daughter as a buffer.
Yeah, so it will at least live a turn.
Indeed, it will. And we see the Mutagenic Serum cracked. Reap with the Techno Fiend. And I think we see the Key Frog. I think there's enough Ember there where we might just see the game end next turn.
Yeah, that might be it. Because it's also going to steal one now.
I don't think there's no Ember control in, unless you can draw one off the QMax, which I don't think you choose a Logos turn. There's no Ember control in All for One. So I think this might be the game. I'm going to see Rapid Evolution get that above Infernus and Munchling's powers. and just discard the Floomp to make sure. But
yeah, just play 3 pips, drop a Key Frog, and it's done.
Indeed it is. And we are going to see a 17 power Techno Beast, which is quite impressive. But yep, and the Key Frog is destroyed, forging that key.
Yeah, I think both players played that well. We're just sort of Prodigy doing the game plan slightly better than Moon.
Yeah, I think getting those Fangtooths out early was a big thing. Obviously, Awful One hitting the autoencoder, I think, slowed down the game, but just when you couldn't get that board presence and you could have had stuff like you can get the bonithing at the right time, which could have kind of swung this thing. You know, you got that FS of Principle to really hit the sting.
Yeah, I think that was what really was put the nail in the coffin, that if you were able to forge and then still be on like 6 or 7 Ember, after the sting hit, that was what you really needed. But just the bad luck that they had it out of the remaining deck.
Exactly, yeah. But very good game from both players.
We have one more left to record, and I'm quite happy to see that. That'll be some very different big board Dino on Dino action.
Yeah, got a Curiosaurus involved, got a bunch of capture. I am licking my chops over that one very much.
We won't say how this affects the other results for the rest of the match in case you haven't watched those yet and you decided to start with this one. But we've already recorded one, and it was a doozy.
It was a really interesting game. But I think for me personally, the third game is the one that I'm tagging to be a really good one. Yeah, thank you very much for listening.
Sorry, I've now just got what the hell you were trying to say.
Thank you very much for listening. I've been David Baron Bomb Fabulous Lark.
Our word of the day has been pegging. I've been Callum, the good Dr. Young.
Thank you very much for listening, and we hope to see you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.